Electoral Commissioner clears the air on deferred NCD polling. Detained NCD Electoral Officers released. And 2 electorates in Simbu complete polling.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Bartolo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday's news. Papua New Guinean authorities say today's cancellation of Port Moresby's polling was unfortunate. Electoral Commissioner Patmos Gamato says the polling was cancelled because of outstanding allowance payments. This morning, people around Port Moresby were outraged by the cancellation of polling in NCD. Bethany Herman reports. At 3 p.m. this afternoon, the PNG Electoral Commission responded to pulling the plug on the NCD voting.
Southern region, polling for all 3 open electorates plus NCD provincial was scheduled to commence today, 27, but that's been deferred to Friday, 30th of June, due to issues surrounding payment of camping allowance for polling officials. I was briefed this morning by the election manager, and I had to make the decision to stop the polling.
The Electoral Commission explained that the Commission isn't broke. It has 78 million kina to work with. Think tanks here in Papua New Guinea and overseas are saying the country is broke.
We are not broke. Unfortunately, we are not broke. There is enough money to pay allowances and even helicopter charters here.
Papua New Guinea is on the verge of electing leaders amidst the debated economic crisis, the lack of foreign currency and ever-existing social problems.
So one person can come up on Friday.
In this election, there is a more informed voting population that is eager to cast their votes. They've taken to social media to vent their frustrations.
Then we're not going to vote anymore.
This morning, people in the 3 electorates of NCD, Moresby South, Moresby Northeast and Moresby Northwest, had already reached boiling point.
All Papua New Guineans must come to Xabaloya.
All polling officials, you plan on buying all one em German blibla. Now, me plan over community, or whatever, me plan waiting vote. Look, all polling clerks now, policemen by coming inside now walking vote bloody.
If it wasn't for the police presence, things would have erupted. Without prior public notice, PNG authorities pulled the plug on the planned NCD polling and said it will happen on Friday instead. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News. Noel Andro, a candidate contesting the NCD regional seat, presented a petition to Electoral Commissioner Patmos Gamato at 4 p.m. this afternoon. The petition outlines grievances other regional and NCD open candidates raised after polling in Port Moresby was deferred to Friday.
Following the news of the deferral of polling in the nation's capital, candidates fronted up at the Electoral Office in Hohola. They demanded answers from the Electoral Commissioner on why the elections were postponed. They include Moresby Northeast candidate Carl Okuk, Semakere Morauta, Moresby Northwest candidate, and NCD Regional Noel Andro.
He has to come out and tell us what's happening. Now, why is the national capital election deferred? I mean, this has to be the easiest of all the places to conduct election.
Much of the grievances centered around allegations that there were marked ballot papers found in the possession of NCD electoral officials this morning, and the change in the polling dates.
What's happened today is totally the fault of the Electoral Commission, no one else. Ill planning, corruption inside the system, it's all going to come to clear now. When we catch 2 senior electoral officers driving around in an unsecured vehicle with cartons of ballot papers, you can come to no other conclusion.
While some argued that it is unconstitutional to change gazetted polling dates, others demanded answers on why polling officials were not paid their camping allowances.
People of NCD, what we have seen today is a clear indication of democracy being hijacked. Free and fair election has been made a mockery now. Electoral Commissioner promoting free and fair election. Now we looking finish. Over the free and fair election, talk lolem gaman now. We looking. All work man Electoral Commission now establish cell borokoya. Big indication you looking. One is now you looking talking me finish. Electoral Commissioner must come out and talk to me. Either this election and become a failed election or either I'm conducting polling.
Between 3:30 and 4 this afternoon, Noel Anjo, a NCD regional candidate, presented a petition to Mr. Gamato outlining their grievances.
We want those boxes to be presented, open in public. We want to see the names on those ballot papers to see who's implicated.
There's a huge crowd at Boroko. Metro came and dispersed us. He said, look, police, he can't make any decision. That's why he sent us here. So go and see the Electoral Commission, and you need to make a statement now, ruling on those 8 boxes.
Mr. Gamato accepted the petition, stating that he will be making an official response accordingly. Thakla Gunga, National MTV News.
The 2 senior NCD electoral officers who were detained by police for being in possession of a huge sum of money and ballot boxes have been released. NCD Chief Metropolitan Superintendent Ben Turi says investigations will continue and formal charges will be laid after polling. Responding to questions from the media this afternoon, Electoral Commissioner Patilius Gamato said he will consider whether or not to sideline the officers concerned. Eric Harupma reports.
2 senior electoral officers from NCD were caught by police transporting huge sums of money and ballot boxes at different locations in Port Moresby this morning. NCD election manager Terence Etinu was caught in possession of 184,000 kina cash and a document of agreement between him and a NCD candidate, while his assistant Roslyn was caught transporting ballot boxes in a vehicle with tinted windows. NCD Central Commander Chief Superintendent Sylvester Kalau confirms that they were in possession of the cash and ballot boxes.
We advised the policeman to bring him here to Boroko, but in the process that they brought him here, search was conducted in his car, and we found cash, 184,000 all in cash in his possession, and also with some other documents that created a lot of suspicion. It's an agreement that purportedly signed by him and one other candidate.
NCD Chief Metropolitan Superintendent Ben Turi commended his men for apprehending the suspects. Turi urged police officers to refrain from engaging in corrupt deals with candidates.
Me in command, nobody will try to. All officers, my commanders, we have drilled down to them that no one policeman officers will take side and try to cheat.
The officers were released from custody this afternoon because of polling after being detained and interrogated by CID at Boroko Police Station. Electoral Commissioner Patilis Gamato, while responding to the allegations, says he will consider whether or not to sideline his officers.
I said it's a matter belonging to police, and police are investigating, so I cannot make any statement in the press conference. Yeah, that was the allegation I received in the morning. Basically, because he was carrying some cash with him to try and sort out the payments for the camping allowances. And so police searched his vehicle and picked up him with a big sum of money. But I'm aware of that. We've made some arrangement to try and organize payments for camping allowances. So he was carrying that cash and police picked him up and searched. They also came and questioned me, and I said, yes, I'm aware of the cash he was carrying.
Meanwhile, investigations are continuing and charges will be laid against them after polling ends on Friday. Eric Arupma, National MTV News.
Eligible voters in Hanobada Ward 1 of Moresby Northwest also expressed their disappointment. They believe there is foul play in the Electoral Commission, with allowances not paid on time for polling officials when the government had allocated funding for the elections.
The villagers of Hanobada Ward 1 of Moresby Northwest are furious for not being able to cast a vote today. For the people of Motukoitabu, they said this is a time where they have the chance to appoint a new leader.
It has turned out to be tense since this morning when we turned up. There was no logistics available and nothing that was promised to be set up was never set up. Since it's very unfortunate, and it's so sad that we've read in the newspaper saying that the government has given Electoral Commission millions of kina to conduct this election, and we've only been told this morning that the people who volunteered and have been accepted to work in the polling booths were never paid their allowance, and no logistics.
Another issue raised was voters in the workforce taking time off work but were let down by authorities. Some of them said they were up as early as 4 a.m. to prepare for the day, while others have been camping and looking forward to this day.
We are confused that whether they're gonna be released or excused by their bosses or managers to take another day off on Friday.
A former Reverend Edea Sisiano is appealing to the Electoral Commission to have polling materials ready by 7 a.m. on Friday.
I'm just appealing to the polling official, especially the Electoral Commissioner and his officials, to do the right thing. Because these are the evidence that we are going to hold on to in order to maybe, if things don't turn out right, these are the kind of evidence that we will take to prove to court. We may be able to take Electoral Commission to court after the election.
Marilyn Diaukatam, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. We'll have more election updates after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National MTV News. Polling in Paramana village in the Abao district continued to be disrupted today over alleged issues with the electoral roll. The returning officer for Abao Open Electorate, Lawrence Barrow, said the presiding officer and polling team have been advised to continue to use the electoral roll they have and not the version that's in the hands of scrutineers. Mr. Barrow urged the people with names on the roll to go ahead and exercise their democratic rights.
Paramana village began polling well just after 10 a.m. yesterday. Hundreds gathered to cast their votes, including a local candidate. But less than an hour later, this. Scrutineers disputed the electoral roll, alleging it was the 2012 electoral roll. Returning officer for Abao, Lawrence Barrow, said otherwise.
What will happen is we will cross-check with our data whether the other electoral roll that scrutineers were holding were an official roll. But according to information from the election manager and person who is in charge of the data, confirmation is that that roll that is given to us is the official roll that we should use. Yeah, that's all, and that's it. We will not use the other ones that the scrutineers are holding it because the source that it came from is not identified and it's not confirmed.
Today, Electoral Commissioner Patilius Gamato said from the Electoral Commission headquarters in Port Moresby that no electoral roll is ever accurate. He said PNG's electoral roll is accurate enough to give confidence to run the national election.
I think the rolls are accurate. No roll in the world is accurate, let me say that.
In the meantime, apart from the incident at Paramana, the first day of polling went generally well for the rest of Abao district. MTV visited the villages of Maupa, Pelagai and Keagolo, where polling proceeded throughout the day. Mr. Barrow said polling in the Cloudy Bay LLG has progressed smoothly, but not without similar concerns with the electoral roll. As for the Amazon Bay LLG, a candidate's supporters from the Borebo ward are taking advantage of the lack of security personnel in the area, threatening locals to vote for that candidate. The returning officer has warned those supporters to stop the intimidation or be dealt with by the mobile squad, which is on standby. Deli Waigeno, National MTV News.
From a command center in Leh, a small team from the PNGDF soldiers is coordinating logistics, part of the logistics and security operations for the elections. The team, headed by Commander Peter Tupma, stays in close contact with more than 130 soldiers on ships and on land in Morobe, the islands and Milne Bay. Struggling with limited resources and negative public perception, Commander Tupma says his main objective is to deliver a successful election.
Another pre-deployment briefing this morning for 3 soldiers going to Sialum in the Tewai Siasi electorate. They're going to replace 3 others who've been stationed there for at least 3 months following ongoing tribal violence. This is the small PNG Defence Force team handling deployments and logistics for 130 soldiers in what's called the Northern Command. That's the islands Morobe and Milne Bay.
What we have here is this is the command center where we have our communication staff especially and our clerks with our operations officer, a liaison officer for Morobe. We have a liaison officer on the ground in Medang. And in here we are managing ships. We have currently 3 ships at sea. One is doing polling duties in Manus. The other one is currently completing, he has completed West New Britain. And has arrived Kokopo this morning and is going to do a run for Pomio and it's embarking stores at the moment.
Commander Peter Tupma is the naval officer who is the Joint Task Force commander in the election operations. For him, it is a challenge he is relishing. His objective is to deliver a successful election despite the challenges.
We are able to coordinate between the Electoral Commission that is next door and police, Morobe police, with Morobe PPC. We are managing between the three organizations to equip our men to go out and do the task. It is not easy. It is very difficult. Resources are tight, but we are able to do things with the understanding that we are working for the people. It's a national issue, a national event, and we must do our part to make sure that there is a good election.
Polling has already begun, but this command center still doesn't have the essentials it needs. A phone line hasn't been connected even after payment has been made. There are other administrative issues that the Joint Task Force commander has refused to talk about on record. Despite the challenges, the command center maintains close contact with soldiers on the ground. Tupma says their success can only be gauged after the elections. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Leh.
The deployment of polling officials in the Morobe province continued today as outstanding polling teams for the Manyamia district were flown to their sites. In a press conference held today, Election Manager Simon Soheke says most teams have already begun polling. A common concern raised by voters across the province is the missing names of eligible voters on the electoral roll. There have also been complaints that the number of ballot papers issued to certain electorates are less than the number of enrollments submitted to the Electoral Commission by the districts.
Yes, I am very much aware that some complaints come in that voters' names are not on the roll. I have actually talked with the Commissioner regarding this issue and my operations manager in Port Moresby. In fact, I have traveled myself and I returned back with some positive answers, and the Commissioner is issuing instructions that we can use the preliminary rolls which we are working on now.
Back to the National Capital District, and tensions were high in Mosby Northeast this morning when news was out that polling had been deferred to Friday. Voters chased NCD election manager today at East Boroko. In the afternoon, candidates and voters questioned why ballot boxes filled with ballot papers were at the Electoral Commission in Boroko when no polling was conducted in Port Moresby.
Voters in East Boroko in the Mosby Northeast electorate went to the extent of chasing the NCD election manager, Terence Hetunu, after police questioned why polling had been deferred. This is what the voters said about the morning's event.
I'm walking wrong. And I'm like, escape, I'm run away. So over the crowds here, I said, man, people are voting. I'm all crony, I'm getting a tremendous stick and tablet, but I'm not I'm not stopping. Lights from people vote, which is same wrong. Electoral Commissioner must make it fair.
Now why you block stop him and me block foul? This la you block put law. Me block all the community law. This la is borogo me block like him. So when you must you block put him. Me block like you block put law. Media law tomorrow but me block sawe.
We then went to 9 Mile where voters were confused whether or not they would vote.
Long election number on come out long Tuesday long 8:30 to by go finish long 6 p.m. While the commissioner is stopping Slakain because same year dinablo come na mage mouse long or Papua New Guineans must come to Xabaloya.
Polling booth me bla asset sla newspaper kama bia sla ogara boot pipe la polling booth le ogara toko sampai ko last block. All man now stop confused now.
In the afternoon, about 1:30 p.m., a vehicle returned to the Electoral Commission office in Boroko with 8 ballot boxes, apparently from 9 Mile.
And then NCD must be noticed, must be south and northwest. The polling days was suspended. It's scheduled long today, but it's suspended. And then people come in and watching stuff. Boxes were coming in.
So me look him also. That's la. All got a man married 9 Mile to me plan a vote. All day man all vote all carry me come.
Candidates soon arrived at the scene questioning where the ballot boxes came from.
Look at the box. Come to come local set the polling area away. Don't vote the western. Me plus animal monkey or west 6 o'clock morning come now eh. Look at what the polling team going to lab.
Metropolitan Superintendent Ben Turi then arrived at the scene to calm the situation.
In there, and I cannot answer Electoral Commission question. Okay. All I'm asking is all of you go across to all.
The candidates met with the Electoral Commissioner at the headquarters and he had this to say.
That's what I'm saying. I made a decision to stop polling. Our polling will take place on Friday. Once we all regroup and we go to polls. But somehow some things happen. Okay, so those are the things that we can investigate, we can check. Yeah, and discard them, put them aside. So these are not official. Because my decision will stand as it is. We poll on Friday.
Adelaide Sirks, Curry National, MTV News.
And now a look at the finance news. The kino closed unchanged at $0.3145 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kino was buying $0.307 US, $0.4021 Australian dollars, $0.2714 euro, and 34.02 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and coffee closed higher, while cocoa and copra closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil, and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 14 points higher, the ASX closed 5 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed 5 points lower. Here with National MTV News, we'll have more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Amidst a chaotic start in the nation's capital, polling in the central province is proceeding as scheduled for many villages. Although some got off to a slow start with a few disgruntled voters, the polling process was fairly peaceful.
At the moment, Gaira and Tubuseria in the Hiri LLG Central Province are into the third day of polling as scheduled. In Gaira, voters were seen lining up to cast their votes for regional and open seat members in an orderly manner. The majority of the voting population there appear content with the process so far.
Everybody respect each other, even candidates from other camps. Respecting, the supporters from other candidates are supporting and respecting everybody in the community. So
over in Tubuseria in the United Church Community Chapel, a similar scene.
But so far so good, the flow has been good. We've got 3,400 voters in this village alone.
Election officials said they were happy with the progress, despite a slow start on Saturday due to a shortage in stationery.
We started at 10 o'clock and we polled quite a lot, like 500 voters that day, and it was a success. After yesterday polling, we polled about 1,500.
There were, however, voters who were very unhappy to find their names were not on the common roll.
Big argument this morning, and they were questioning us and they are very angry, frustrated over the rolls. So many names are not there.
Asikeru claims her name was on the common roll in 2012, but not this year.
What's happening now?
No, I cannot cast my vote anymore.
According to polling officials in Gara, polling was on schedule to close this afternoon, while Tubusera concludes tomorrow. Barkau electorate, on the other hand, is in the process of preparations for polling to commence on Saturday, the 1st of July. Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, United States President Donald Trump has claimed a big victory. The Supreme Court has agreed to review the legality of his controversial travel ban in October, which will, in the meantime, allow parts of it to go into effect.
At the White House, President Trump was asked how he feels about the court's ruling today.
How do you feel about the Supreme Court ruling today, Mr. President? Very good, thank you. Very good.
And in an official White House statement, Mr. Trump hailed the court's action as a clear victory for our national security. The Supreme Court ruling today will allow the president's travel ban to go into effect, but only partially. Under the court's ruling, some people will be banned, some not. The president's order blocked travel to the U.S. for 90 days by people from 6 predominantly Muslim countries: Iran, Syria, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, and Sudan. But today the court declared that the government cannot ban people if they have a bona fide relationship with a person or entity in the United States. That includes, the court said, family members of U.S. residents, students admitted to American universities, workers accepting a job offer in the U.S., speakers invited to address an American audience, and more. In the end, analysts say those most impacted will be refugees with no connection to the U.S., and that may turn out to be a relatively small number of people. The travel ban, a signature Trump campaign promise.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
But as soon as the ban was issued in January, big stuff, with no warning and no consultation with agencies who would have to carry it out, there was trouble. Chaos at the nation's airports and protests in the streets. Courts stepped in to block the ban, and in March, the administration issued a new order ruled on by the court today. Now, the government will begin implementing the ban in 72 hours.
Here with National EMTV News, let's go for a break now. And when we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. With just 5 months until this year's Pacific Mini Games, PNG's karate team is stepping up its training with tight competitions to be staged to select those to compete in Vanuatu. Godwin Eki reports.
He's already a gold medal winner, taking out the top place in the 60 kilograms division for PNG in the 2015 Pacific Games. Now, Nigel Bana is hoping to do it again. He's busy training with others who are also hoping to compete in this year's Mini Pacific Games that start in early December.
We are basically preparing for the Mini Pacific Games, which will fall on December 3. And for myself, I'm getting ready for my second degree black belt, which will fall on the 2nd of December also.
While the team is yet to be announced, these athletes are training 4 days a week, 2 hours every day. While Nigel Bana is focused on the Mini Pacific Games, he's also looking forward to his second degree black belt event in Australia, which is also in December. He says he's ready for the challenge, having spent the time since the Pacific Games training and studying all aspects of karate.
And if I can train there and come and go, it would be a good thing. It's more or less like a momentum build-up for me.
Holding a black belt, Nigel is leading the rest of the crew. He says the aim is to get everyone ready to be selected for the Mini Pacific Games. He says teaching the correct moves and techniques is important, but the most important is self-control.
Karate in itself, in terms of organizational structure, karate is a hierarchical organizational structure similar to the military and stuff like that. So the higher rank you have, the more authority and power you have.
The team will be named just a few weeks before the games kick off. Godwin Eki, National, MTV Sports.
The Port Moresby Men's Basketball League has announced its squad for the impending national championships this weekend. With a number of the squad already having international experience, the team is looking to perform very well.
A host of well-known names make up the squad in the likes of Api and Purari Muri, as well as Joel Lavo and Paiwa Baldwin. With round one having just been completed, the players selected are already in good physical form heading into the championships. Sibona Kala makes a return to representative duty as he looks at making a push for the national team. From a POM Basketball League perspective, they are hoping to raise the standard of the code by involving the best that the capital sides have to offer.
The PMBL's vision when we started back in 2013 was to ensure that our PNG men's basketball team was prepared well.
Lawrence Lahari, who is part of the Port Moresby Basketball League, says that with the inclusion of the expat community in the city, the quality of the league has vastly improved.
We accept them with open arms. You know, there's no such thing as, oh, they're going to be better than us. For us, for the PMBL players and for the administration, it's a way of bringing basketball to another level. You know, so we're happy. If they're going to beat us, then so be it. That means that we need to get better.
During the Pacific Games held in 2015, PMBL players had dominated the national team. And Lahari says the plan is pretty much the same.
We expect the same. We expect to dominate the squad for the up-and-coming Melanesian Cup, first ever. So we haven't trained as a squad. We've only got a one-week preparation, but in saying that, you know, we've been playing in a very high-level competition, the PMBL, and competition fitness won't be an issue.
The National Basketball All-Stars Championships will be held this weekend at the Taurama Aquatic Centre. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
After months of hard work, trial events and selections for beach volleyball, 2 teenagers have been selected to travel to the Bahamas next month. Tony Gima and Damien Icy say they were happy when they heard they were part of Team PNG to this year's Youth Commonwealth Games.
These teenagers are busy fitting in training around their schoolwork, but it's well worth it. They're heading to the Bahamas, competing in this year's Youth Commonwealth Games in beach volleyball. Both teams were overwhelmed when they heard the news they've been selected for Team PNG.
When I was selected, I was so happy that there is a good opportunity to rep my country, PNG, and I'm happy to go to Bahamas to Youth Commonwealth Games.
Man, the competition was tight, like when they were running it for us to be selected, so I was actually shocked that they got me.
17-year-old Tony Gima and 15-year-old Damien Icy say training preparations are going well under the guidance of coaches Mohamea and Kilarupa.
Yes, we train with Mohamea and Richard Kilarupa. They help us to more skills and fitnesses in the court. So thanks for the help that they give us.
Do you know when you're leaving?
Yeah, 15 July next month we are going to leave the country.
Oh yeah, I'm psyched there, like, to really go, because that's like halfway around the world. Preparations are like really good because they're really killing us with all this fitness and everything, because we only have like limited time left, only 3 weeks. I'm really looking forward to it.
In the next couple of weeks, training will continue as normal for the 2 athletes before they depart for Bahamas on the 15th of July. This will be their first debut performance overseas under Team PNG to represent the country. Godwin Eki, National, MTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. While Oceania is mostly represented by Australia and New Zealand, in the sport of fencing, the PNG Olympic Committee is now planning to introduce the sport in the country. Present in the country last week was Regional Development Officer Leon Thomas of Oceania Fencing Confederation, who says there is potential for PNG to take up the sport. Fencing is not a sport many Papua New Guineans are familiar with, but that might soon change.
It might look like an unusual sport, but this is fencing. Leon Thomas is from the Oceania Fencing Confederation and he's trying to share his passion for fencing with PNG. These children were certainly interested to have a go. The PNG Olympics Committee asked Leon Thomas to introduce fencing to PNG. He says while there's been a good response so far, there's still a lot of work to do to set up a federation.
It's really just a point of getting organised, getting the numbers up and then starting off entering the Oceania competitions and working our way up the grades.
Fencing's an Olympic sport, which means Pacific Island countries can qualify through the Asian competition.
I can help supervise it and train the coaches, and once we get some athletes up a bit higher, help train them as well. But really, it'll be a PNG program once we get started. That's my main objective, is to have a self-sufficient program.
Thomas is hoping to return to PNG sometime later this year to start up a federation and get the numbers going around the country. If it succeeds, fencing will just be the latest sport to be added to what's becoming a long list here in PNG. Recent sports introduced include handball, gymnastics, beach volleyball and water polo. Godwin Eki, National, MTV Sports.
The world's fastest man, Usain Bolt, will retire this year after his record-breaking career. Bolt will make his final appearance at the Ostrava Golden Spike meeting in the Czech Republic in August.
Bolt was adamant he would be retiring after the IAAF World Athletics Championships in August. The multiple Olympic champion laughed off the question, adding that he was feeling emotional as the end of his career approaches.
It's just been a great career, you know what I mean? And I've really enjoyed the ups and downs, all the experience I've gathered, all that I've been through, happiness and sadness. It's just been a wonderful career, you know what I mean? And for me now, I've done everything I wanted to, and it's coming to an end now, and I'm fine with it.
The double sprint world record holder, who has 8 Olympic gold and 13 World Championship medals, will make his final bow in August in London, where he will only run the shortest sprint, despite having a wild card for the 200 meters.
I know that it will be my last time actually competing here, so it will be emotional, and it'll be my last Golden Spikes trophy. So for me, it's just an emotional season.
Bolt, who has collected 8 Olympic golds and 13 World Championship medals, also said he felt good about the sport's future and believes IAAF President Sebastian Coe is doing a good job in trying to eliminate doping from track and field.
Coe is doing a good job now. They're really trying to make track and field as transparent as possible when they're using the independent doping system. So it will run a lot more smoothly, you know what I mean? So
after the Ostrava Golden Spike on Wednesday, Bolt will also compete at the Diamond League meeting in Monaco on July 21st before the World Championships.
I always look forward to it. I look forward to going out there and putting on a show for the last time for the fans, because that's what they come out here to see, so I'm looking forward to it.
Shane Saroya, National, MTV Sports.
To boxing promoter Bob Arum believes Jeff Horn could provide a tough test for Manny Pacquiao when the two boxers meet this Sunday in Brisbane. The upcoming welterweight title fight between Pacquiao and Horn will be the Australian's biggest fight in his career so far.
Bob Arum said it would be the highest profile fight for Pacquiao in the United States, where the fight will be broadcasted live on ESPN. But the American said the Filipino's age means the victory is not inevitable.
Manny has been one of our greatest fighters of the era. He's very fast. He knows how to move. But remember, he's getting older. Athletes get old.
Pacquiao, 38, has won his last 2 fights against Jesse Vargas and Timothy Bradley Jr. But RM thinks Horn can cause the A Division champion a lot of problems.
Horn is a big, strong kid, takes a good punch, punches really well. He's fought some good pros.
Horn, a former school teacher who is unbeaten in 17 fights, said it's a dream to fight against Pacquiao in front of a possible 55,000 people at Brisbane's Suncorp Stadium.
I've dared to dream, that's for sure. It's something I've had to do for a long time now, and even just dared to dream to get this fight in the first place has been a dream come true. So I've definitely been dreaming about that belt being put around my waist.
The fight is due to start at 1:30 p.m. local time this Sunday.
Boxing is not just, obviously hard work. There's a lot of psychology, there's a lot of science, trying to temper his mind and body to the point where he is today, and he's like a samurai warrior these days. He's a really he's a fierce competitor.
Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports for this evening. Up next, your weather report for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Here's a look at your weather for the next 24 hours. Port Moresby becoming cloudy. Some showers in Daru as well as in Popondetta. Light showers for Kerma and Alatau. To the Masi region, some showers in Leh and Wau as well as in Madang. Partly cloudy, Wewak and Vanimore. To the New Guinea Islands region, some thundery showers expected in Lorengau, Kavieng and Kimbe. A few showers in Kokopo and Rabaul, and thundery showers expected in Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centers can expect some showers over the next 24 hours.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that is the news, sports and weather for today, Tuesday, the 27th of June 2017. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Stay tuned for Your Vote 2017 with Neville Choi and Titi Gabi up next. Good night.